I know this issue is being drove into the ground, and doing videos like this isn't helping any, but I just had to mention this because I want to understand. I want to understand what makes Apple different from everybody else. I want to understand why people feel like Apple should recall a product and they are voicing themselves so loudly on the internet, especially people who don't even own the product are hating on Apple so bad, saying this is a design flaw, they have a horrible phone, this, that, and the other. And the more I read around, the more I'm thinking it's just an excuse for people who are jealous of Apple to hate on Apple. Because either they are completely fucking stupid, and that's what I'm saying. If you're saying the iPhone 4 is a flaw or a design flaw or is really much different than any other phone, I'm sorry, no offense, but you're a goddamn dumbass. And I'm sick to death of all this shit. I see these articles one after the other. Look at this one. Y'all remember the Nexus 1 3G issue it had back in the day? You know, nobody really paid much attention to it. It didn't really get much coverage. Well, this is it. Back in February, look at this. Back in February, this article was posted by Engadget. And it says, looks like someone at Google, well, the title of the article is Nexus 1 3G problems persist after update, meaning after a software update. Is it a design problem? Okay, and the article reads real quickly, looks like someone at Google should fast forward those Nexus 1 design videos to the radio integration portion and figure out what went wrong, because it seems like the 3G coverage problem still hasn't been fixed even after the last big update. What's more, many Google support forums are noting that the phone will drop a weaker 3G signal merely when held by the bottom, as the video below clearly shows. Oops, we're not all sure what's going on here, but we're hoping this issue can yet be solved with a software patch. Things are going to get messy if this is purely a hardware issue. Well, as it turns out, Google is stopping production of the Nexus 1. It had screen digitizer issues. It's got the same antenna attenuation issues that iPhone 4 had. I don't want to hear this shit. Well, iPhone 4 does it a little bit worse than this phone, or this phone does it a little bullshit. They all do it. They all have the problem to some degree. Okay, and this was complained about and pointed out by Engadget back in February, and it was proved by these videos and people on the forums that, hey, when I hold my phone by the bottom, I'm losing this signal. Like Apple, some people were saying, or most people were saying, hey, I'm not being affected by this problem, but some of them were. Did the Nexus 1 owners get free bumpers or free cases? Did Google or HTC or any of the carriers come out and speak about this or do anything? Was there a major uproar and anger among people on the internet for having a phone like this? Google has removed applications from people's devices. They've had digitizer problems. They've had the same attenuation problems. Now they've left them high and dry and they're not going to make a Nexus 2. All these bullshit things that Google has done to the Nexus 1 owners. And I want to hear their outrage. Their fucking Google CEO coming out on stage saying, we're sorry for your problems with the Nexus 1, so we're going to do this for you. You know, this is complete and utter bullshit. And this is why I have such disdain and such pure, unadulterated spite and hatred for people who get on the internet and talk about these bullshit stories about the iPhone 4 is junk, they need to recall it, la 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 la, when I look around and I see these exact same stories covered by other phones. It just makes me want to look at these people and go, you fucking biased, jealous, bitter, Apple-hating motherfucker, you. Because that's exactly all you all are turning out to be. Because the more I look, the more I realize that you're just fucking jumping on this goddamn bandwagon because it's an Apple hate bandwagon and you want to ride the fucking train. And that's all there is to it. And articles like this prove it. And please explain this to me. Why is it that Nexus 1 and Google are not having the issues from their customers? How come they're not outraged and making them give away free bumpers or demanding recalls and writing 3 or 4 articles about this in blogs? Why is this? I want to know, because I can tell you why. It's because it's Apple. That's the only reason, okay? And it just proves to me more and more that Apple is right and most everybody else is fucking wrong. And in the future, when something like this else comes up, I'm just going to look at everybody else and go, you're all full of shit. If there's a problem, Apple will fix it, but I doubt there's even a fucking problem, because the last problem that come around, You all totally blew it out of fucking proportion and ignored everybody else's problems. So there's just a small community, besides the actual 2% of people who are having problems, or besides the actual 2% of people who are having enough problems to actually complain about it, okay? Of those 2%, they might be having some actual problems and be complaining. But I think the majority of the people voicing their opinion don't own this phone. I think the majority of the people voicing their opinion about how this phone is terrible just don't like Apple. Those are the people voicing their opinion. The people who are having troubles with it are calling Apple customer support. They're getting their free bumpers. It's the people who don't own the phone, it's the people who are bitter with Apple that keep this issue alive. Everybody else seems to be satisfied except the people who don't own the phone and the Apple haters. It's just completely ridiculous, and I'd just like to know why Google can get away with it but Apple can't. That's all I want to know. OS 10, brothers.